Welcome to Millennium Daily News. This is Ifat Fatima with top stories. Trump picks women, including a critic, for cabinet. Trump reverses threat to prosecute Clinton. Wooing press, Trump softens climate stance. New York using sand-filled trucks to protect parade. Obama welcomes turkeys into the White House. Airstrike kills Abu Afghan al-Masri in Syria, US. Dhaka seeks international interventions to end Rohingya crisis. And Gale in Dhaka to play for Chittagong. Those were the headlines, now the detail. Donald Trump began to broaden the base of his future cabinet, nominating two conservative women, including a critic, after his earlier picks rewarded campaign loyalists. Trump's nomination of South Carolina's 44-year-old Governor Nikki Haley as U.S. ambassador to the United Nations will be seen as a sign he is ready to forgive some foes to raise a bigger tent. But his choice of wealthy activist Betsy DeVos, a champion of alternatives to local government schools as education secretary, was another victory for social conservatives. Trump's one-time presidential rival, retired neurosurgeon Ben Carson, appeared to be next in line for the nod, reportedly as housing secretary, after he posted on social media that an announcement was imminent. Trump's choice of Haley for the UN was announced amid reports that Trump is considering another vocal critic, the former Massachusetts Governor Mitt Romney, for the key post of Secretary of State. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump backed away from a threat to prosecute his political rival Hillary Clinton, saying to do so would be very divisive for the country. During a meeting with New York Times editorial staff, Trump appeared to reverse the lock her up campaign rhetoric that had called his respect for the rule of law into question. "I don't want to hurt the Clintons, I really don't," Trump was quoted as saying by the paper staff. "She went through a lot and suffered greatly in many different ways." After an FBI investigation into Clinton's use of a private email server while Secretary of State, the Department of Justice recommended no charges be leveled at the Democratic candidate. But the issue had enraged Republicans and has been cited as a factor in Clinton's defeat to Trump during the 2016 presidential election. During the campaign, Trump triggered consternation and widespread condemnation when he said Clinton would be in jail if he owned the White House. Donald Trump signaled his campaign trail dismissal of the threat of climate change may have been haughtier after all, saying he was open-minded on supporting global accords. The U.S. president-elect emerged from cabinet building talks in his Trump Tower headquarters and traveled 10 minutes across town to the New York Times to give a wide-ranging interview on his plans. He disavowed alt-right activists who hailed his election as a victory for white supremacy, distanced himself from calls to prosecute Hillary Clinton, and defended his global business empire. And he appeared to soften his pledge to pull the United States out of accords such as last year's COP21 Paris Agreement that binds countries to national pledges to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. "I'm looking at it very closely. I have an open mind to it," he told New York Times executives and journalists over lunch at their headquarters, according to the paper's own account. New York police will use sand-filled trucks, radiation detectors, bomb-sniffing dogs, and heavily armed officers to defend the 90th massive Thanksgiving Day parade, with Islamic State has encouraged its followers to attack. Officials expect 3.5 million people to converge on the 2.5-mile parade route in Manhattan for the annual nationally televised ritual that initiates the holiday shopping season with giant balloons shaped like cartoon characters. The 82 sand trucks from the sanitation department will be used to counter a threat by Islamic State, also known as ISIL or Daesh. which has called the parade an excellent target. The sand trucks weigh 16 tons and twice that when filled with sand, making them difficult to move even if rammed by large vehicles. U.S. President Barack Obama got the holiday most started at the White House with the traditional patronizing of the national Thanksgiving turkey, this time with his nephews standing in for daughters Malia and Shasha. The light-hearted ceremony in the Rose Garden also featured lower-raised turkeys Tater and Tot, with the latter receiving the formal reprieve, but Tater was also spared the hatchet. Obama said he has used the past 7 pardoning ceremonies to embrace his daughters with what he called a cornucopia of bad jokes about turkeys. This year, they had a scheduling conflict. Actually, they just couldn't take my jokes anymore, the president said. The ceremony also gave Obama a chance to reflect on the spirit of Thanksgiving. Obama said it's a time to remember that we have a lot more in common than divides us. He also challenged Americans to show the world that the United States is a generous and giving country and to make sure everyone has something to eat on Thanksgiving. The killing of Egyptian Abu Afghan al-Masri took place near Sarmada, located in Syria's Idlib province, Pentagon spokesperson Peter Cook told reporters. Cook said that Masri had originally joined al-Qaeda in Afghanistan and later moved to its Syrian affiliate. He had ties to terrorist groups operating throughout Southwest Asia, including groups responsible for attacking U.S. and coalition forces in Afghanistan and those plotting to attack the West, Cook said. A handful of Arabic language news agencies had reported Masri's death at the time. Masri was a religious judge in Jabhat Fateh al-Sham, an armed group formerly known as the Al-Nusra Front until its formal break with al-Qaeda earlier this year. The airstrike was the latest in the U.S. program of targeted killings in Syria and Iraq. Earlier this month, the Pentagon announced that on October 17, it had killed Haider Kirkan, who it said was a member of al-Qaeda and had been close to the late Osama bin Laden. Authorities have exhumed 32 bodies and 9 heads from several clandestine graves this week in a southern Mexican state plagued by kidnapping and murders, officials said. The remains were unearthed in 17 pits on a hill in the village, which is a part of the municipality of Jitlala, a region beset by turf wars between drug cartels. The discoveries are terrible, Guerrero State Security spokesman Roberto Alvarez said, adding that the victims include 31 men and 1 woman. The remains were taken to the state capital, Chilpancingo, to be identified, Alvarez said in a statement. No arrests have been made in the case. The bodies were found in 17 of 20 pits that were dug up by investigators in various states of decomposition. A suicide truck bomb killed more than 80 people, most of them Iranian Shia pilgrims, at a petrol station in the city of Hilla, 100 kilometers south of Baghdad, police and medical sources said. Islamic State IS, the ultra-hardline Sunni militant group that considers all Shiites to be apostates, claimed responsibility for the attack in an online statement. The pilgrims were en route back to Iran from the Iraqi Shia holy city of Karbala, where they had commemorated Arbaeen, the 40th day of mourning for the killing of Imam Hussein, a grandson of the Prophet Muhammad in the 7th century AD, the medical sources said. The gas station has a restaurant in its premises that is popular with travelers. 5 pilgrim buses were torched by the force of the blast from the explosives-laden truck, a police official said. Viewers, now the news of Bangladesh topic. Bangladesh sought international supports to end the Rohingyas crisis amid continued influx of the minority Muslims in its territory and offered its assistance for social reconciliation and economic uplift of people in bordering Rakhine state of Myanmar. In an urgently called meeting of foreign envoys in Dhaka, Foreign Minister A.H. Mahmood Ali sought international support to resolve the long-standing challenge, including the current crisis situation involving the Rohingyas, the minority Muslim community in Buddhist majority Rakhine. Ali requested the diplomatic community to... Viewers, now a short break. We will be back with the headlines. Prime Minister asks Army to stay alert about internal-external threats. BRTA declares Uber service illegal. Donald Trump vows to quit TPP for fair trade deals. Money mules arrested in Europe-wide laundering sting. Otto weakens to tropical storm after hurricane quake till Central America. Welcome back to Millennium Daily News. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina asks the Bangladesh Army to always remain ready to face any threat, both from internal or external sources, to protect the sacred constitution and sovereignty of the motherland. To protect the sacred constitution and sovereignty of the motherland, you will have to remain always ready to face any threat from internal or external sources, being united, she said. The Prime Minister said this while addressing the flag-raising ceremony of 9 units, including the newly established headquarters of 11 Infantry Brigade under 17 Infantry Division of the Bangladesh Army at Jalalabad Cantonment. She raised the flags on the 9 units under the 7 Infantry Division. Sheikh Hasina expressed her firm belief that each and every member of his newly formed brigade and units would work shoulder to shoulder to boost the strength of this division imbued with patriotism. Considering the overall security of the country, formation of a special force at brigade level is under the active consideration of the government, she said. Bangladesh Road Transport Authority BRTA has declared Uber, an app-based taxi service, illegal for launching its service in the city without permission from the authorities concerned. BRTA issued a circular declaring the service illegal, unlawful and a punishable offense. Uber, the smartphone application that has transformed urban mobility for millions across the world, launched its service in the city, promising change in the commuting experience in the busy capital. The BRTA, in its notice published in different newspapers, said if any company launches taxicab service, it requires to take permission from the Road Transport and Highway Division through BRTA as per the Taxicab Service Guideline 2010. The notice also said the online-based Uber is launching their service illegally, which is contradictory to Motor Vehicles Ordinance. There is no need for army deployment in the December 22 elections of Narayanganj City Corporation, NCC, said Awami League's mayor candidate Selina Hayat Ivy. Ivy said this while talking to journalists after submitting her nomination paper to the returning officer of the Election Commission in the district. BNP's mayor candidate Sakhawat Hossain also submitted his nomination paper to the returning officer this afternoon. More Rohingya Muslims from Myanmar poured into neighboring Bangladesh this week, with some feared drowned after a boat sank in a river during a bid to flee escalating violence that has killed at least 86 and displaced about 30,000 people. Some Rohingya refugees have been missing since after a group crossed the river Nav that separates Myanmar and Bangladesh. Those who managed to enter Bangladesh sought shelter in refugee camps of people's homes. There was a group of people from our village who crossed the river by boat to come here, but suddenly the boat sank, said Humayun Kabir, the father of 3 children, untraceable since the mishap. Although many of those on board could swim and were able to reach the riverbank, 7 people are still missing, he added, his children among them. The Myanmar violence is the most serious since hundreds were killed in communal clashes in the western state of Rakhine in 2012 and poses the biggest test yet for the 8-month-old administration of Nobel Peace Prize winner Aung San Suu Kyi. Viewers, now the business news. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump has vowed to quit a proposed 12-country free trade bloc, the Trans-Pacific Partnership (TPP), and renegotiate other trade deals upon entering the White House. Trump called the TPP a potential disaster for the U.S. in a social media video message published late on Monday, pledging instead to negotiate fair bilateral trade deals that bring jobs and industry back onto American shores. Although the TPP terms were settled more than a year ago, the pact was never taken up by U.S. Republican leaders in Congress, in part because of anti-free trade rhetoric in the presidential campaign. Trump's comments would appear to snuff out any hopes among other TPP countries that the pact, championed by President Barack Obama, could be revived under the new administration. European and U.S. law officials arrested at least 178 people in an international suit against so-called money mules who helped launder millions of dollars, EU agencies announced. Across Europe, some 580 suspected money mules, people recruited to act as laundering agents for criminal gangs, were identified during last week's operation, Judicial Cooperation Agency Eurojust and Europol said. After receiving the illegally obtained funds into their accounts, the individuals acting as money mules are asked to wire the money into a different account, said a joint statement, which also included the European Banking Federation. These schemes are often disguised as legitimate job opportunities, and the mules may keep some of the money of themselves as a commission, it said, adding that an estimated 23 million euros was laundered globally. A leading Chinese company has expressed its keen interest to invest in the country's health sector, which requires huge investment for developing health infrastructure and services. A delegation of the Sinopharm International Corporation met Health Minister Mohammed Nassim to discuss about the scope of such investment, according to a Health Ministry release. Shi Shengyi, Vice General Manager of the Sinopharm, led the delegation to the meeting held at the Shangri-La Hotel in Shanghai, China. Sinopharm is a concern of Beijing-based China National Pharmaceutical Group Corporation. The health minister suggested the delegation to explore investment opportunities in developing health infrastructure, including setting up of medical universities in Chittagong and Rajshahi. A discussion on Special Economic Zones, Public-Private Partnership (PPP) and local and foreign investment was held at Federation of Bangladesh Chambers of Commerce and Industry (FBCCI) conference room in the city. FBCCI organized the discussion to enhance private sector understanding and engagement in economic zones and develop investors' confidence, said a press release. Acting President of the FBCCI, Shafiul Islam, along with FBCCI Directors Hasina Nevaz, Muntakim Ashraf, Habibullah Dawn, Kahinur Islam Anwar Sadat Sharkar and Masood Parvez Khan Imran, among others, joined the discussion. Senior representatives from Bangladesh Economic Zone Authority BEZA and Bangladesh Investment Development Authority BIDA were also present at the meeting. The discussions suggested for adopting special provisions for micro and small industries as well women entrepreneurs. Viewers, now the world environment, science and technology news. Otto was downgraded to a tropical storm, but not before striking Central America at hurricane force, as an offshore earthquake also shook the region. The storm, packing sustained winds of up to 170 kilometers per hour at the time, triggered alarm in Nicaragua, El Salvador and Costa Rica, but there were no immediate reports of any casualties. Nicaragua was caught in the middle of both events as the hurricane plowed into its Caribbean coast while the 7.0 quake occurred in the Pacific Ocean off its other coast. Nicaraguan President Daniel Ortega declared a national emergency to handle both potential disasters. The last time the North Pole registers a temperature above freezing wasn't recently as last week. This despite the 30-year average for November being a high of 27 degrees Celsius and a low of 30 degrees Celsius in a 24-hour period. Between the autumnal equinox and spring equinox, there really is no day. It is the polar night and the sun stays below the horizon. Temperatures rise only when a warmer wind blows in. The North Pole has never recorded temperatures above freezing in January, February, March, or April. Until last year, that was the case in December too. But on December 30, 2015, 0.7 degrees Celsius made a new record. Arctic sea ice coverage is at a 37-year record low for mid-November, almost 2 million square kilometers less than the 1981 to 2010 daily mean, according to the National Snow and Ice Data Center. Toyota Motor Corporation said it aims to develop a new, more advanced electric car battery in a few years that will allow the Japanese automaker to come up with an electrified vehicle with driving range and battery life enhanced by up to 15%. Such performance-enhanced lithium-ion battery technology will likely enable all its electrified vehicles to be improved, Toyota said. Lithium-ion battery is a key technology for electrifying cars, and there is a clear need going forward for improving its technology and its performance even more. Hisao Yamashige, a battery technology researcher at Toyota, told a media briefing in Tokyo. Toyota, Japan's biggest automaker by volume, has pioneered gasoline-electric hybrids technology and is gearing up to launch a new near all-electric plug-in hybrid car called the Prius Prime. It also has recently said it is aiming to come up with an all-electric battery car by 2020. The Twitter account of Jack Dorsey, the social network CEO and co-founder, was briefly suspended because of what he called an internal mistake. For about 15 minutes, those trying to access Dorsey's account received a message stating that the account was suspended. Only the company can suspend Twitter accounts, though users can deactivate their own. The company did not respond to an AFP inquiry. The incident came as Twitter is struggling to increase its user base and seeking a path to profitability. Co-founder Dorsey returned as chief executive last year but has yet to ignite growth. Viewers, now the sports news. West Indies dashing batsman Chris Gayle arrived to play for Chittagong Vikings in the 7-team 4th Bangladesh Premier League. The Caribbean cricketer landed at Hazrat Shahjalal International Airport by an Emirates Airlines flight at 4:55 p.m. Gayle will start his BPL mission appearing for Vikings in their 9th league match against table topper Rangpur Riders next. He will join the Vikings squad and practice session at Mirpur Cricket Academy ground. Gayle is the 5th foreign player to play for Vikings in the BPL edition after West Indies all-rounder Wayne Smith, Pakistani batsman Shoaib Malik, Afghan all-rounder Mohammad Nabi and Pakistani pace bowler Imran Khan Jr. Brazil has leapfrogged World Cup holders Germany into second place in the latest FIFA World Rankings, narrowing the gap on their traditional rivals Argentina, who are still the world's top-ranked team. Brazil has won their last 6 World Cup qualifiers and beat Argentina 3-0 earlier this month. Chile have climbed about Belgium and Colombia into 4th place in the rankings, while Wales and England have dropped a place each into 12th and 13th respectively, with Ireland climbing 10 places to break into the top 25. Armenia are the biggest movers, jumping 38 places to 87th place, while Chad have fared the worst, plunging 49 places to 152nd. Iran are still Asia's highest ranked team despite falling 3 places down to 30th, while the Netherlands have fallen 2 places and are currently in 22nd place, one behind Euro 2016 surprise package Iceland. Before ending, the headlines are once again. Trump picks women, including a critic, for cabinet. Trump reverses threat to prosecute Clinton. Wooing press, Trump softens climate stance. New York using sand-filled trucks to protect parade. Obama welcomes turkeys into the White House. Airstrike kills Abu Afghan al-Masri in Syria, US. Dhaka seeks international interventions to end Rohingya crisis. And Gayle in Dhaka to play for Chittagong. This is all for now from Millennium Daily Newsroom. To get any kind of news, please visit to our social website, facebook.com/millenniumtvusa and youtube.com/millenniumtvusa. Besides, to get the most updated news, please log into our website www.millenniumtv.net. Stay with Millennium. Allah Hafiz.